Hello, and welcome to the next instalment of EverQuest Next Landmark. Today we're going to try something slightly different as I try to alternate the format somewhat. It's a feeble attempt to create my own news show, so do bear with. If you like the changes and you feel you could enjoy the format further, do let me know. Anyways, on with the show. Today I'd like to talk about the following. Payment models makes a dreaded return, but I do feel that there's some light blossoming here. Current changes to the beta and how I feel that it's progressing. And finally, Community Spotlight. So, payment models. I believe in options, and apparently so does Sony Online Entertainment. $15 a month will now give players access to the top tier in all of their current free-to-play titles. So that includes things like PlanetSide 2, DC Universe Online, EverQuest's back catalogue, but also all the upcoming titles for Sony. So things like Dragon's Prophet, Landmark, and H1Z1. So, you know, it's giving options, but one of the things that I think is really interesting about this, which is in comparison to, say, for example, World of Warcraft, where you still have a subscription model, but you don't actually get everything with that subscription. You still have to pay for things on the cash shop. This actually gives you a monthly amount of cash for the cash shop with the subscription, and gives you a discount on all the purchases on there. So we go from being a model that I felt was extremely unfair to one that is now more fair than even World of Warcraft, which is a big deal for me because I feel as a content creator I never really want to condone business practices that can harm the consumer or industry. I actually play iOS games now and again because I hear it really annoys executives when people play them and don't pay because it uses up their bandwidth. Just a little side hobby for my own revenge at things like Dungeon Keeper. Anyways, moving on, let's talk about the current changes in the beta. It's been a while since I've been tracking changes with Landmark, so it's going to be difficult to really encapsulate everything that has changed from the last time I produced content on it. But one of the things I will say is that as of this week, we now finally have the first phase of water into the game. This was a wonderful change, and it's lovely to see actually. They've done a really good job with the wave effects. You really do feel like there's an epic ocean out there, and I get the impression that once the other phases are in place, we're going to be seeing something very special here. So if you're into a bit of Jesus walking, you should definitely get on that, because for the time being you can now walk on water, which fantastic for recording purposes, I might add, for all of you content creators. Also, since I've been playing, they've now added the marketplace, which I was dreading initially, but I've now looked at it. It's very nicely done. It looks very pretty actually. They've done a good job with it. One of the things that I really like about it actually is the player showcase gallery. I've used this tool, it's been very useful for me to check out on various builds that people in the community have upvoted as being very good creations, and it actually helped me drive ideas for moving forward with this show. I feel that with this I'll be able to go forward with a community spotlight section, using it as seeing what the community has been interested in recently and going and interviewing the content creators, hopefully when they're doing their work on their plots of land. And it actually worked, and I've got an interesting section coming up just talking about that. But yes, lots of big changes to the beta. It's really starting to flesh out the game. Very, very good. So here's the thing, Community Spotlight. Seeing as this is the first iteration of Community Spotlight, I'll just explain what I'm attempting to do here. Every week I'm going to try and bring you one of the pieces of work that I find truly inspirational in Landmark. It's generally going to be the things that have been upvoted highly, but not necessarily the case, and I'm certainly open to people approaching me with their own designs and seeing if they can get on the show. I'd love to do that. It would create more of the community and discussion that I want from this channel. So, this week's Community Spotlight is that of the user Daedarius and his incredibly impressive work in Queen K's Castle. Situated near the central hub on the server Understanding Abyss, this 19th century Renaissance style castle is jaw-dropping. After running into Daedarius, I asked him a few questions in terms of the time approximation for building such a piece. Daedarius claims he's been iterating on its design since alpha first started. He's been following the community and its how-to videos hosted on YouTube, which have been growing in popularity as the weeks go by. One of the first questions I asked, and is apparently asked of Daedarius often, is does he work in games design or architecture? Surprisingly, the answer is no. Daedarius is still deciding what he wants to do, but expresses a keen interest in eventually working within the industry as a designer. I asked him if there's anything he'd like to say to listeners. Daedarius simply responded by humbly explaining that he's surprised by the amount of feedback he's received, but is confident in what he's created. It's very impressive. It is very, very impressive. I wish him all the best. Well, I'm afraid that's all I've got time for in this revamped Landmark news. If you like what you saw, please like and subscribe, and if you're feeling very generous, please leave me a comment in the section down below. Thank you and goodbye.